In this video, we are going to learn about red blood cells. These are specialized blood cells which are responsible for transporting oxygen from lungs to tissues and returning carbon dioxide from tissues back to lungs. These are most abundant cell type in human body, constitutes about 70% of all cells. Women have 4 to 5 million per microliter, and men have 5 to 6 million cells per microliter. Why these cells in most abundance in body are important for us. Here are the main 4 reasons: to transport oxygen to tissues for cellular respiration, facilitate carbon dioxide removal, which is a metabolic waste, helps to regulate homeostasis by buffering acids and bases, as it neutralizes them to help balance blood pH. Another one is hemoglobin storage. Why it stores it? As we know, for efficient transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Also, it prevents toxicity of free hemoglobin molecules in plasma, prevents hemoglobin itself from oxidation, maintains blood osmolarity and viscosity by containing hemoglobin within cells. Let's talk about some physical characteristics of red blood cells. Its size is 7 to 8 micrometer. Has volume of about 90 to 95 cubic micrometer. Thickness is 2.5 micrometer at edge and 1 micrometer at center. Having surface area of 120 to 140 square micrometers. It increases surface area to volume ratio. Facilitates rapid gas exchange. If we see its shape, it is biconcave, which provides a larger surface area for gas exchange. It's thin in center and thick at periphery, like a donut without a hole. What is the basic structure of a red blood cell? These are anucleated cells, which means there is absence of nucleus in cell. Why? There are 3 main reasons. To get more space for hemoglobin, as mature red blood cells lack nucleus and organelles such as mitochondria and ribosomes. Maximizing space for hemoglobin. Hemoglobin makes 33% of cell weight. Second reason is efficient oxygen transport. Red blood cells can deliver more oxygen without a nucleus, because it can use more oxygen for its own metabolism. Third reason is for a flexible shape. Cell without a nucleus is more flexible. It helps red blood cells to squeeze through tiny capillaries. Here is a note. Due to lack of nucleus, red blood cells can't divide or repair. That's why they have a limited lifespan of 120 days. They are removed or broken down by spleen when they get older. The cytoplasm of red blood cells is primarily filled with hemoglobin, and there is no mitochondria. Red blood cells can't use oxygen to make energy like other cells. Then how do they energy? They use a process called anaerobic glycolysis, which refers to breakdown of glucose without using oxygen to produce small amount of energy. What is the composition of its membrane? It is a lipids bilayer. Outer covering membrane of red blood cells contains 2 main components. Phospholipids. These are main building blocks. Each block has 1 water-loving head, the hydrophilic, which is made of a phosphate group and a glycerol backbone. This part is polar and interacts well with water. 1 water-repelling tail, the hydrophobic part. There are 2 fatty acid chains. This part is non-polar and repels water. These blocks are arranged in 2 layers as the tails facing inward and head facing outward environment. Second main component of membrane is cholesterol. It's a fat substance, sits between 2 layers like a sandwich. Keep the membrane stable and prevents from becoming too rigid or too soft. Why is this layer important? Here are 2 reasons. Fluidity. Lipid bilayer isn't rigid, it's flexible. Helps the red blood cells to pass through small capillaries without any damage. Another reason is for selective permeability. Membrane controls what enters or exits the cell. Only certain substances can pass through. Let's see what are those. Some molecules can pass easily, such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitric oxide, water, urea, and ethanol. because they are smaller and non-polar except water. But some substances cannot pass easily. They need a transport proteins to help them. Ions such as sodium, potassium, chloride, and calcium, because these are charged and need specific channels or pumps to help them enter the cell. Glucose, it is polar and a too large a molecule, enters by GLUT1, which is glucose transporter 1. Amino acids, these are also polar and too large. Now what is polar and non-polar means here? Polar means there is uneven distribution of electric charges. One end is slightly positive, and other end is slightly negative, such as water molecule. Non-polar means there is even distribution of electric charge, no positive or no negative ends, such as oxygen and carbon dioxide. Polar molecules have charges ends and they mix well with water. Non-polar molecules have no charge and it mixes with fat. There are so many proteins here, but we will discuss only those who constitutes to its structure formation. These are special proteins in red blood cell membrane that work together to keep the cell strong, flexible, and in its proper shape. First one is spectrin. It helps to maintain biconcave shape of red blood cells. Acts like a springy support net just under the membrane. Gives elasticity to cells. Helps it to stretch and bounce back. Another protein is ankyrin. It works like a clip that holds the spectrin net to inner side of membrane. Without ankyrin, spectrin won't stay in place. Other proteins are actin, which helps to connect the spectrin strands and support cell structure. BAN3, a channel protein which also links membrane to cytoskeleton, which is a supportive mesh just beneath the membrane. Last one is glycophorins, present on outer membrane surface, and helps to keep red blood cells away from sticking to other cells or vessel walls. Here is the presentation of these proteins. These are alpha and beta spectrin strands. The ankyrin, actin, BAN3, glycophorin A and C. Let's see what are the color changes in these cells. As we all know, hemoglobin gives red blood cells the red color. When hemoglobin binds to oxygen, such as in lungs, it becomes oxyhemoglobin and makes that blood look bright red. When hemoglobin releases oxygen in tissues, it becomes deoxyhemoglobin and makes the blood dark red, not purple, not blue. It gives an important clue for an individual's health, such as if in the inner eyelids, which are conjunctiva of your eyes, redness is reduced. It is a classic sign of anemia, means you don't have enough hemoglobin or even red blood cells. Stay tuned for next part.